Hey guys, this is different from what I normally do, but I just got back from Chicago from a big trip, going to Comic Breaker and being able to try Marvel Tokon, experiencing my first major for the first time, a lot of crazy stuff like that. So I want to talk about it for a bit, especially because just as a person, I'm like a huge worrywart. I'm super nervous, I have a lot of anxiety, so I just want to talk about my personal experience with it. We'll get down to the first thing of air travel. I am terrified of planes. I am scared shitless of them. Even, going there and going back, I'm that type of person who just always on the plane, I can't go to sleep. I'm super terrified. I'm like thinking like any second now we're gonna explode. I don't know. I've always had that underlying worry in me. Thankfully, it wasn't too bad. The first trip was a little awkward. Someone had like a kind of emergency in front of me and people were screaming when I finally got like a 5-minute nap. And so I panicked a lot and I couldn't sleep for the rest of the way. I was just there with my eyes kind of gaping open and red, being super tired and just being super out of it for the rest of it. But thankfully I landed in Chicago fine. The trip back wasn't that bad. It was just kind of the same thing. I had to wait in the airport for a lot of it, but it wasn't too big of a deal. Like I said earlier, the main reason I went was for Comic Breaker. It's a big major that happens around like Mayish. It was a pretty big deal for me because I typically just do onlines. Pretty small stuff. I'm in a really sick org called OEG, Odin's Eye Gaming. They're really nice people. And so, for me, it was mostly a big experience to go there and meet some friends for the first time and be able to experience what a big major was like. So that was a really big deal for me. With that being said, I did compete in 2 different games during Comic Breaker. I competed in Guilty Gear Strive and Grand Blue Fantasy Versus. I did okay. I mean, on my Grand Blue run, I played a lot more games, even though I did get stomped, even on publicly on stream too. On Guilty Gear, I had to wait like an hour for my first game. And when I finally got my games, I won the first one. I was like, yippee! And then the second one, I got stomped. But, either way, I got out of polls that day. I got my Chipotle card. I feel pretty good about it. That was my only goal. I at least wanted to get one Chipotle card. So, honestly, either way, that was a W for me. The venue itself, it was pretty nice. I've never been to, like, a convention before. So, it was the first time being around, like, a lot of people. Something I'm kind of adding in post, like, last minute. I didn't really talk about much about the crowds in this original recording. But, like, I'm, like, super... paranoid as a person, so being around a lot of people like that was kind of freaky. I got that kind of all eyes on you type of thing, I mean? So even if no one's looking, I always feel like everyone's looking. So being in a big crowd, even around people that you don't know, it was frankly a little terrifying. I do think that, once you get past the first day, it wasn't that bad. But, I think even going to conventions or big things like that, as someone as, unsocial as me, I'm usually pretty good with small groups. So, if that's not for you, big, things like that and a bunch of people, that's completely okay. At least from personal anecdote, I do notice that it does get better. So many cosplayers, so many just, people walking around talking about the game, and it's so much art stuff. So much merch. I was really infatuated with a lot of the stuff there. I'll show a picture here of all the stuff I got. I got so many keychains and so many posters. I kind of did dip into the wallet pretty hard for it, but, I do feel pretty good about it. I got a lot of stuff I wanted, especially for my 2 faves, Elfel and Ramafal, and I managed to actually find some Arknight stuff too, which felt pretty awesome. I never thought I'd see that kind of stuff there. Even some COD Zombie stuff. The venue itself, they always say that, those big conventions are pretty stinky. I didn't have much of an issue, but maybe that was caused by me getting allergies halfway through, so I was kind of sitting there just being bleh half the time. But it wasn't really stinky. All the really big brunt of it was the heat. It was so hot. Unbelievably hot. And there wasn't a good self-service either, but, granted, you're in a room with, hundreds of people trying to use their phone at the same time. My main gripe was just the seating. It was really hard to find seats in there. It was blistering hot. The floors were very solid, and I was wearing some, really cheap slip-on shoes. So that part was on me. I felt like my feet were getting destroyed for that. But the venue itself was, pretty decent. It was in a nice spot. Apparently, there's, a whole, laser tag arena and arcade right next to the spot. I didn't really get to check that out myself. I really wanted to, but I kind of just forgot. Or just was hanging out with friends and getting a bunch of food the entire time. The one thing I'm not really good with is just being in, in a big group of people, or just, the crazy crowds cheering on for game stuff. Because for me, I'm not really, good at watching video games. So I watch it and I kind of don't have a really big reaction to it. But, watching the Strive stuff, I was pretty actively involved. But, when it was getting crazy loud or it was just getting hot and a bunch of people around, it was a little nerve wracking. But honestly, still it was still worth the time and effort to go there. I don't really miss the bad phone connection though. I did get to try out some new spots I never had before, like a place called Portillo's and Culver's. Portillo's was okay. I had like one of their hot dogs with a bunch of stuff. I think the only thing I took out was tomato, but like having like a full pickle slice with a hot dog really tripped me out. I was kind of tweaking about that. And Culver's, oh my god. That place is near as good as like a place like Freddy's or like any other really like nice local dive. That was probably like my highlight. I think I ate there like 3 times, and like every single time I went there, I got like the full concrete mixer with the cookie dough, and one time I got marshmallow, and that was too much for me. But like it was so good. I can't even go into like how good that was. And of course at the venue they had Marvel Tokon. Me and a few other friends got to try it. When the session that we played, me and Bard VTuber, Bronzewa VT, we actually got to play on our own sets for a good bit because of the Art Creators program. And so we got a good few sets in. And like for context, before I actually got to try the game, I kind of saw trailers. I wasn't really too crazy about the game because I'm not really a big Marvel fan. I've seen like the movies, but like I wasn't really deep into comic culture. Like I didn't really stay with Rivals for the same reason. And I've always had a very casual kind of look at it. Like, you know, the big thing comes out, I'll just kind of watch that instead. But something about the game just like really clicked to me. The game looked amazing. It felt really good to play. The moves look slick. And even like, I don't know if it's because of the PlayStation graphics, but it just looked incredible. The game itself played pretty simply. I don't remember the exact control scheme they showed us, but it was like a 3-button almost action game. And like a lot of the other ones were for assist. And how you did combos felt pretty easy to click on. If you ever play like Melty Blood or anything like that, it kind of felt like that to me. When I got to play, I played Penny Parker, Magic, I think the sword lady, and Danger, which I think they're like, I don't really know their roots as much. I've seen Magic and other things before, like Marvel Rivals. And Penny Parker, I'm familiar because of the movie, and I thought her mech looked sick. So being able to try them all out, they all had very, very unique kits and very interesting like mechanics on their own. Like Magic had these kind of portals you could teleport to. And honestly, I don't even know what Penny was doing. I was doing like crazy across the screen slams randomly and doing some like silly web stuff. I could not even figure it out in my brain. Danger was also one of those guns too that I couldn't really figure out as much, but I still had fun with her because she had kind of a very similar like Eno run, like in Guilty Gear, where she immediately just flies off a little. Which like speaking of that, like the movement in the game, it feels buttery smooth. I thought it was gonna have some like stubbiness when I watched like the trailers of it, but it feels like butter. Like all the running, all the actions that you do, it feels really clean. Everything has like the correct weight to it, and everything just feels silky smooth and buttery. The impact might be a little less on me than like other fighting games are out there right now, but like the smoothness of it was honestly incredible. I'm kind of like basing my info right now too off of, you know, what I've tried, but the assist system, like having like a tag partner and how you get them was really cool to me. Like you always had like a character locked off or like 2 characters locked off. And if you wanted to actually get like more of those characters, you'd have to have a ball break or like just super in specific conditions. It wasn't really too clear to me, but I noticed that sometimes when I was getting a wall break, I just got a character and it felt so cool. Honestly, anyways, when this game comes out in August, I'm probably going to play it on launch. I am a part of the Arc System Works creators, so of course, like, you know, I want to cover this type of stuff, but like something about the game just was really good. I don't really know much about Marvel and I don't really participate much in the Marvel culture, but like this game felt great and I really hope that this game gets a good standing when it comes out. If I were to say any bad things about the game to me, I would say that the button kind of layout felt a little weird. Like everything kind of felt a little scattered. Like some special inputs were on like the bumpers and stuff, but that stuff can always be fixed with actually just playing the game and changing the configs yourself. I think the dash also felt a little heavy, but maybe it was the characters I was playing specifically. There is one really major issue to me though, is that I think this game is like co-published by Sony. And, you know, if you followed the Helldivers drama recently, where people just weren't able to play the game anymore because you required a PSN account to play, you know, that's a really big deal. I have a lot of friends who personally played Helldivers, and when that stuff happens, I think it was like 120 plus countries couldn't even play the game. I really hope that someone at ArcSys or at PlayStation decides to lock in and not have that be a base part of the game when it comes out, because I know a lot of people who are offshores or people who are excited for the game and they can't currently buy it. So I think it's a really big thing that we should probably be talking about more. And that's like really my major gripe. please, PlayStation Arcs in the Works, please, if any of you guys can, possibly change that. I want, any of my friends who are really interested in the game to be able to try it. Even if I don't play the game a lot, I just don't think it's fair to have Sony's account system just be locking off half the planet. That's just kind of crazy. I just hope that like around the time the game comes out, they've already resolved this, or by the time the game does come out, if this is still an issue, people are out there actually talking about it. I don't really think this kind of stuff is ethical, and I just don't like Sony for a lot of reasons, including this now. So I hope that, something changes within the time. Aside from that, like really big stand on it, I think the game is good, and I think it has a lot of potential. I'm probably assuming this game is going to do good regardless because it has a lot of popular Marvel characters. As of now, they've revealed like Carnage and like some people for Doom's team. I'm not really like a big Marvel person, like I said earlier, so I don't really have anyone that I have a dream roster for right now. But maybe they'll release someone who's crazy to me that I'm like, oh, maybe I'll actually play them, because I didn't really play Magic and Marvel Rivals, and I like her in this game. So aside from that, probably in the background now there'll be just me showing off some of the merch stuff that I got. Some amazing talented artists from there. I didn't manage to snag every single gift card, but if you go to like any of these kind of major scenes, please support your local artists, because oh my god, actually being able to go in person and see some of the artists I even like follow on Twitter is just super cool. That was an outstanding experience, and honestly, like I am probably like a permanent customer for either Comic Breaker or any other kind of major nowadays. I don't think I'm gonna go to Evo. Evo's not really clicking with what I've been hearing about. I at least hope that some of the other ones like Frosty Fastings are super sick. I might go next year, but I think Comic Breaker might be the one I go to next year, just out of the sheer enjoyment I had for it. Maybe go check out some other places like the Laser Tag Arena next to it. I'm forgetting the name now as I'm on spot. Maybe I'll flash it right here if I remember the name of it. But like, I was just so astounded how much stuff there was in the area, especially because like this is like a very small like town near Chicago that hosted the event. So I felt like I was just kind of like in a weird suburbs with a bunch of hotels and like a crazy like gaming arena. But with all that said and done, I really appreciate you guys hearing me out. This is more of just a yapping video because I want to talk about it, because one, I enjoy a lot of Arc System Works creations, and I just want to talk about the experience and be able to show the silly stuff I got. So yeah, thank you guys for hearing me out. I'm trying videos every week, so watch out for a weekly upload, maybe on like Friday or Saturday, and have a good night, everyone.